Most people don't fear death. They fear dying before they ever lived. You wake up, check your phone, get caught in a loop. Emails, traffic, distractions, opinions, stress. You say, just one more hour, just one more season, just one more scroll. And all the while, life passes quietly in the background. Seneca said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." You are not running out of time. You're letting time run out on you. This is the wake-up call you didn't know you needed, because you are wasting your life, and you don't even realize it. Let's begin. 1. Busyness is not purpose. There's a lie the modern world loves to sell you, that the busier you are, the more valuable you must be, that exhaustion is a badge of honor, that speed means significance. But busyness is not purpose. Motion is not meaning, and doing more doesn't always bring you closer to a life worth living. You can fill your calendar and still feel empty. You can chase tasks and never touch truth. You can succeed at everything except being truly alive. The world will applaud your hustle. It will celebrate your constant availability. But the Stoics would ask you one piercing question. To what end? Why are you running? Where is it all leading? And if you arrived at the end of this endless effort, would you even recognize yourself? Seneca warned, people are frugal in guarding their personal property, but as soon as it comes to squandering time, they are most wasteful of the one thing in which it is right to be stingy. We protect our money, our possessions, our status, but we let our most precious resource, time, bleed out in front of us. The truth is, busyness is often a mask. It's a way to avoid the deeper questions, a way to silence the uncomfortable truth that you don't know what you truly want, or worse, that you do, and you're afraid to chase it. So you hide behind productivity. You fill the silence with noise. You work so you don't have to feel. But what would happen if you slowed down? If you stopped spinning long enough to see clearly? To ask yourself, what am I doing that truly matters? And what am I doing just to avoid discomfort? The Stoic path is not about doing more. It's about doing what matters, with intention, with clarity, with courage. Because being efficient with your time means nothing if you're spending it on the wrong life. Don't confuse being busy with being on purpose. 2. You're distracted to death. There's a war happening every day, and the battleground is your attention. Your mind, your focus, your presence are being stolen by an invisible enemy, distraction. You wake up and check your phone, and from that moment on, you are no longer directing your life. You're reacting to it. Opinions, drama, algorithms, noise. You think you're in control, but you're really just being pulled by strings, by headlines designed to agitate, by apps designed to addict, by a culture that profits from your disconnection. Marcus Aurelius never scrolled through outrage. Seneca never lost an afternoon in comparison. Epictetus never feared missing out, because they knew a scattered mind is a wasted life. Seneca wrote, "No activity can be successfully pursued by an individual who is preoccupied, since the mind, when distracted, absorbs nothing deeply. You may think distraction is harmless, but it's costing you everything. Your creativity, your ability to think, your depth, your peace. Every minute lost to distraction is a minute stolen from your purpose, from real connection, from clarity, from becoming who you were meant to be. This is the subtle tragedy of modern life. You don't even realize what you're missing because you're too distracted to notice it's gone. But there is another way. The Stoics practiced focus like a discipline, single-mindedness like a virtue, presence like a form of armor. The world may be loud, but your mind doesn't have to be. Put the phone down. Turn the noise off. Go outside, be still, and reclaim the one thing the world can never give you back: your attention.
3. You're living for approval. Look closely at your choices. How many of them were made for you, and how many were made to impress someone else? We live in a world addicted to validation. The likes, the hearts, the comments, they give us a hit of worth, but it's temporary, and it's never enough. You change your words so you won't be judged. You filter your life so you'll be accepted. You shrink your truth so you won't offend. You're not living, you're performing. And the worst part? You don't even realize the stage you're on. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." Because the price of authenticity is often disapproval, and most people aren't willing to pay it. But here's the truth the Stoics knew. You cannot live a meaningful life if it's built on the shifting opinions of others. Approval is unstable. It's out of your control. It changes with trends, moods, and misunderstandings. So why chase it? Why let strangers shape your self-worth? Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own." You are not here to please the crowd. You are here to live in alignment with virtue, with courage, wisdom, justice, and temperance. That means doing what's right, even if no one claps, even if they criticize, even if they never understand. The Stoic life is not about applause. It's about peace. A deep, unshakable peace that comes from knowing you're living true to yourself. So stop chasing approval. Stop curating your existence for other people's eyes. Live with integrity. Live with purpose. Live as if the only person watching is your future self. 4. You're consuming more than you're creating. You consume wisdom. You collect it. You admire it. But do you live it? There's a subtle trap in personal growth. You begin to mistake knowing for becoming, reading about change for changing, listening to ideas for living them. But the Stoics weren't collectors of insight. They were builders of character. Marcus Aurelius journaled to train his mind, not to impress anyone, not to sound wise, but to hold himself accountable to his actions. Seneca said, "We should not accumulate excess knowledge, but digest what we have." Because if you read without reflection, if you listen without application, if you learn without living, you're not growing. You're hiding. You're using wisdom as a blanket instead of a blade to cut through your excuses. Real transformation begins when what you consume flows through your hands into how you speak, act, work, and love. The Stoic life is not built in theory. It's forged in daily practice. in the choices no one sees, in the work you do when it's not convenient. So stop binging on knowledge. Start applying it, even if it's messy, even if you stumble. Better to live one Stoic truth fully than to know 1,000 intellectually. Because in the end, it's not what you consume that defines you, it's what you create with it. 5. You fear the wrong things. You think fear is protecting you, but often it's only imprisoning you. You fear embarrassment. You fear rejection. You fear failure. So you stay quiet. You stay small. You stay safe. But here's the truth the Stoics knew. You're afraid of the wrong things. You fear being seen as foolish, but not wasting your potential. You fear making a mistake, but not growing old with regret. You fear change, but not dying exactly where you started. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. That's not a threat. That's clarity. Because when death becomes real, so does life.
Suddenly, waiting becomes dangerous. Suddenly, your excuses sound hollow. Suddenly, not trying becomes the greatest risk of all. Epictetus said, "It's not death or pain that is to be feared, but the fear of death and pain." Fear isn't the problem. Living according to it is. The Stoic chooses courage, not because he feels no fear, but because he knows what truly matters. So if you're afraid to speak, speak anyway. If you're afraid to try, try anyway. If you're afraid to start, start anyway. Because the real danger is not failing, it's never living. You are running out of time. You don't get to rehearse this life, and one day you'll wish you had feared less and lived more. 6. You avoid silence. Silence is a mirror, and most people can't bear to look into it. So they run from quiet, from stillness, from solitude. They fill every second with sound, with stimulation, with distraction. Because in silence, the truth shows up. The questions you've buried, the dreams you've postponed, the emotions you've avoided. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." But to retreat inward, you must first stop running outward. You must let the notifications fade, let the playlists end, let the world grow quiet, so you can finally hear yourself. The Stoics didn't fear silence. They embraced it, because silence was where clarity was forged, where values were examined, where the soul was tempered like steel. If you avoid silence, you avoid yourself. You avoid wisdom. You avoid depth. There is no true transformation without time alone with your thoughts. So sit. In the discomfort, in the stillness, let the dust settle. And listen, not to the world, not to your fears, but to that voice deep inside, the one that only speaks when everything else is quiet. That voice is your compass, but you'll never hear it until you learn to stop avoiding silence. Here is the expanded version of 7. You think life starts later. You think life is somewhere ahead of you, that it begins after the stress fades, after the money comes, after the chaos settles. But that's the lie, that's the trap. Life doesn't start later, it's happening right now. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do not act as if you had 10,000 years to live. Death hangs over you. While you live, while it is in your power, be good."
We delay, 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 and call it planning. Call it being responsible. Call it timing. But what we're really doing is waiting. Waiting for permission. Waiting for a perfect moment that never comes. We say, someday I'll write that book. Someday I'll travel. Someday I'll live differently. But someday is where most dreams go to die. Seneca warned, while we wait for life, life passes. Every morning you wake up, you are living your life, the real one, not the one you'll begin next year, not the one you'll start once things calm down. This is it. The habits you repeat today, they are your life. The thoughts you entertain today, they shape your soul. The actions you take or don't take are the building blocks of your legacy. Stop postponing your peace. Stop delaying your joy. Stop outsourcing your meaning to some mythical future. Because the future isn't guaranteed, and the present is slipping through your fingers second by second. You are not too late, but you are running out of time. You don't need more motivation. You need awareness. You need to look honestly at how you're living and ask, am I wasting this one brief, precious life? If the answer is yes, don't panic. Just wake up. Today. Seneca said, while we wait for life, life passes. So stop waiting. Stop drifting. Stop existing. Live fully, intentionally, now. Because your life is not something you find. It's something you choose with every moment you stop wasting. If this message woke something up inside you, don't let it fade. Share it, reflect on it, act on it. And remember, you only get one life. Don't waste it sleepwalking. Live like a Stoic. Live like it matters. Subscribe for more Stoic wisdom and start living before it's too late.